Okay guys, so now you're going to be working on a worksheet called Graphing Other Trig Functions, and the directions tell us to graph each equation from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi, and that you must show your tables. Alright, so I know this one doesn't have a lot of room on it, so either you can use the back, which makes it hard though with you trying to graph it, or you can use a separate sheet of paper if you need to put your tables on it. But you must give me your tables as well. Alright, so let's just practice one on this one just to refresh ourselves. So look at number 1. It says y equals 2 secant of x plus pi. So remember now, this worksheet doesn't ask for it, but on the test on Friday, you have to be able to also identify its period, its amplitude, excuse me, amplitude, period, phase shift, and the vertical shift on it. Alright, so, but when we're graphing this, what is our parent function? Well, it's secant, but we don't have a parent table for secant of x, because remember, we just use the cosine table, and then we do our reflection of it. Alright, so just to remind you, cosine table. You better have all of these on your plate, guys. You're not going to have time to do this at the beginning of class on Friday. And we'll be very disappointed when I look at your plates if there's not all these tables on there. Alright, so there's our cosine of x parent table. And so now for our transformation here, let's go through the parts of it. So the first thing I see is a 2 here. It's the only thing outside of the parentheses as far as number-wise. So is it going to affect my x or my y? Well, it's not inside with x, so it's not going to affect the x, which means it's going to affect the y. And how would I do it? It says 2 times secant, so we're going to multiply our y's by 2. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And then we have our pi there. Well, pi is inside with x, so it's going to affect the x. And how's it going to affect it? Well, it says plus pi, but remember, x always does the opposite, so we're not going to add. We're really going to subtract pi. So let's take all of our x's there in the original table, and let's subtract pi from them. So we're going to have 0 minus pi, which is just negative pi. Then we're going to have pi over 2 minus pi. Now remember, if you need to use your calculator, that's just take the pi out. So it would be 1 over 2 minus 1. It's going to take a negative 1/2 and put pi back in. So we got negative pi over 2. Then we got pi minus pi. We had 3 pi over 2 minus pi. Again, 3 divided by 2 minus 1. It's going to show you positive 1/2, so put pi back on top. So pi over 2, and some of y'all already see how it's increasing the increment, so you're able to go ahead and finish it out, but if not, we'll go ahead and do it this way. So we got 2 pi minus pi, then which is pi. Alright, so we're going to graph this. They've already got our scale for us here. I've got to draw mine in. Oops, yours only goes up to 2, doesn't it? So I'll just go up to 2. No, I lied. Yours goes up to 3. Okay, so let's plot our points. So what? Negative pi, positive 2. Negative pi over 2 is 0. 0, negative 2, pi over 2, 0, and pi 2. Now remember, be careful, we're not actually graphing cosine, we're graphing secant. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and finish out my pattern here, so I can go from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi. So as I go to the left, from that top point on the left that I have, I know it's going to be at 0, and then it's going to be at negative 2. And then I'm going to continue on the right, so I'm up at the top, so I know I got to come down, and then I'm going to go down again to negative 2. So there's my points. But remember, with secant, this middle row, wherever it's at, the middle row of points is where my asymptotes are going to be. So I'm going to draw in my vertical asymptotes here. And then remember, the reciprocal, because the secant says that the top points are going to go up. Bottom points are going to go down. Now these two on the left and the right, they're just partial ones. If you wanted to draw the other side, you could, but you don't have to. Alright, so that is graphing our graph from negative 2 pi to positive 2 pi. Go ahead and finish out this worksheet. Be careful on number 3. Let me give you a heads up because it is cotangent, so which has a shorter period of pi anyways, remember? And then it's got a b value that's going to make our period even smaller. So you're going to have lots of little graphs on here. If I counted right, you'll have, let me recount real quick. Yeah, I've got 8 of them on there. So don't be shocked if it seems like or think you're doing it wrong if you end up with a bunch of little ones on there, because that's what I got as well. All right, good luck, guys.